Everybody, here's Kirill and Mickey Wilson. Today we're gonna interview American slackliner for everybody and especially for Russian slackliners because Russian slackliners have to know about good slackliners and learn from them, right? So here's Mickey Wilson. He's from Colorado. He do slackline for a long time. He's
6 years.
6 years.
6 years.
Nice. So he competing and we're here to ask him some questions. So, how long you've been doing slacklining, Mickey?
I saw slacklining for the first time 7 or 8 years ago. I thought it was kind of lame at first, and then about 6 years ago, I met a guy named Josh Bodwin who was doing backflips on the line.
It was 8 years ago, Josh Bodwin.
6 years ago.
6 years ago.
I saw him doing a backflip on the slackline, and that's when I bought my first slackline and decided to get really into it.
And what is slackline for you?
Oh, slacklining for me is just a really awesome sport activity that I love to do and that I love to get really good at in all the different disciplines of slacklining. I really enjoy trick lining. I also really enjoy long lining and high lining. I think it's really important to be able to do all the different elements of slacklining. And I think it's unfortunate that a lot of slackliners out there choose to focus on just one discipline. It's cool because then they get really good at that single discipline, but I think it's important to love and practice the full spectrum of slacklining.
Yeah, I agree with you. All kinds of slacklining is awesome. Long line, trick line, high line, everything is awesome. So that's what I like to do too.
Nice.
So, when did you start competing and what is the main competition titles do you have?
Oh, okay. I went to my first ever slackline competition about 3 years ago. It was the USA Nationals, and I got second place in it behind Mike Payton.
Oh, nice! You said it's first competition, second place.
Yeah, it was a cool, fun time for me, and it made me realize that I could do it for for a living, or for for a main way of living. Traveling around, going to competitions. Let's see, I'm currently ranked 4th in the world on the WS Fed Trickline rankings. I've placed in the top 8 in the last 2 or 3 World Cups. I have won the Natural Games competition in France this past summer. I won the Netherlands Renessa Open this summer. I won the South Carolina Open that was the Gibbon Games this past summer. Right, I guess actually by then it was Slackline Industries. So I'm also currently the team captain and manager of the Slackline Industries professional slackline team, and I focus a lot on putting together a team of the best slackliners in the world that want to be sponsored by a cool company that really wants to push the sport forward and sponsor athletes that need help in the slackline world, because it's still a pretty small slackline world, and the athletes need help from the companies. So that's a big part of my new slack life, is managing the team and helping slackliners around the world fulfill their dreams.
Yeah, that's a good job.
Yeah,
I think everybody around the world, it's a dream job to do what they love. You love slacklining, you work in slacklining industries, helping to develop slackline. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's great.
And let's talk about your training. How frequently do you train, and what is your training day or training week like?
Okay, I go through phases from month to month of intensity of training. I've had a knee injury lately, so I haven't been training that much. But when a big competition is coming up and I'm training trick lining a lot, I generally will try to set up a trick line. I have a trick line training session 4 times a week, and on each individual session I'll set goals and I'll just slackline until I feel like I've met the goals for that day. So whether that's a 1-hour training session or a 4-hour training session, kind of just depends on the things I want to accomplish in that particular training session.
So what kind of goals you set? Learn new tricks or do like big combo?
Yeah, maybe I'll come up with a combo in my head that I want to work on, and I'll work on that. Maybe I'll come up with a trick or a new trick or an old trick, whatever it is, just want to perfect it. Yeah, I mean, there's a whole different variety of tricks on the slackline. You know, sometimes like from back bounces to butt bounces to chest bounces to crook bounce to all kinds of crazy stuff. And you know, sometimes you do a bunch of one of those and your body gets sore. So then you'll decide, okay, my back is sore from back bounces. Maybe now I want to go and practice all my butt bounce tricks or whatever. So it kind of you just have to go with the flow and feel your body and understand what your body wants and needs, because trick lining is very hard on the body sometimes.
Oh yeah. I think everybody who do trick line feel you right now.
Yeah.
All right, and how do you learn new tricks? Do you need special
safely
conditions for it?
Yeah, you really definitely. You don't have to have pads underneath you, but I think pads are a great way to explore new tricks and new types of trick lining. I was working at a gym called Progress recently in Denver that has a huge airbag bag jump thing in the middle of the gym, and I've been setting up a 70-foot trick line over that.
Nice.
And so it's really good.
You train for a high line there.
Yeah, there's a high line there.
High line trick line.
Yeah. Slacklining over the airbag feels a lot like airlining, like the Red Bull competition. Slacklining with no input or help from the ground, I think is really cool. It's a really pure form of trick lining, because, gosh, you can't dab. Dabbing sucks. I hate it when I dab. Everybody dabs, but it's so good to avoid it.
Yeah. You need to pull your legs straight.
Legs straight, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And what is the coolest slackline thing you ever did, which you will remember forever?
I think I know.
It's kind of hard.
Maybe two things, and they both, for some reason, have to do with Andy Lewis. Go figure. When I was first getting into the trick line competitions, I went to the Vail Mountain Games. Back then, it was sponsored by Gibbon, and I was pretty new. I didn't really have much chance at winning the competition or anything, but I had some things I wanted to do. And a double backflip dismount had been on my mind for a long time. And I'd been doing lots of backflip to backflip dismounts. And I decided to, in my competition round against Alex Mason, to kind of do a Hail Mary and do a backflip to a double backflip dismount. And
you talk about double backflip feet to feet?
On the ground? Or I mean back on the line?
Yeah.
I've never tried it. I've always just done it as a dismount. But it's a possibility. I'm talking about a dismount. So I did a backflip to double backflip dismount and landed the landing at the end of my round. And Andy Lewis came up and gave me a big hug, because he and I had been talking about it a lot, and that felt really good. And everybody else was all stoked at the competition, was pretty stoked on what I did. And it was the first ever double flip really, I think, in slacklining. Andy had come close, but kind of never really landed it. And then Andy landed it like the next round, because he got a little stoked up on it. So that was pretty cool. And then the other time, I think it was when I beat Andy Lewis at a competition in San Francisco, and I didn't really consider myself a good trick liner until I beat somebody that I considered to be a great trick liner. Andy's obviously one of the godfathers, still one of the best in the world at it, and that was a really great competition round for me, and it was tight. It was a good match. I was glad I won.
Yeah.
But yeah,
to win and lose, it's a good thing to remember.
Yeah, it was a good thing to remember, for sure.
Alright, what is next? Oh, question about SpaceNet. I know that was Andy's idea, but can you tell us about SpaceNet? So how it was organized, how many people was involved in it?
Right, well...
How much time did you spend to rig it?
Okay, so the first ever SpaceNet was at GGB, or was in Moab like about a year and a half ago or something, and I helped Andy kind of weave some of that, and I helped rig it, that was just a 3-leg space anchor out in the middle of the fruit bowl, and that was really cool. I think that was the first time that had ever been done. I was also there the first time they did a space line at the fruit bowl. I think that was one of the first space lines ever, where they just used steel forged rings as the center point. And it's pretty straightforward. You just gotta get the whole thing set up beforehand, attach it at like one point and start to carry the other 2 points out to the other side and just start connecting them and start tensioning the various legs in such a way that it's going to get uniformly tight on, but generally it seems like it always happens where one leg is way looser or tighter than the others or something. But I wasn't there for the rigging of the 5-point space anchor. I showed up like a day after it had been rigged or something. But I saw it, and it was 5 pieces of 5 lines. I think all were rigged with double Vectran out to a center 5-point net that had like 7/8 inch AM steel as the perimeter, with rings on the AM steel for attaching the slack lines to, and then it was climbing ropes and paracord woven through the middle to make the net, to make the web. And I think 30 people. I think it took about 30 people to rig it.
Oh, 30 people.
Yeah, it's really heavy.
That's a big.
The space net without the slack lines included weighs probably 50 pounds. I think it's heavy.
Yeah, that's definitely heavy. You need a lot of people.
Yeah, when it's suspended out in the middle, it's really heavy. So you need lots of people to do it, to pull it off.
30 people for rigging space net.
The 5-point space net this year.
Yeah, that's really cool. 30 people come together and do the same idea, and they make it happen.
Yeah,
that's a big
great
project.
Yeah, it's a cool part of slacklining when people come together and align their goals and work together to accomplish something beautiful.
Yeah, very good job. So about Red Bull Airlines, I know that you was competing in Red Bull Airlines.
Benvenuti al vostro Red Bull Airlines.
This is the future of slacklining. Tricks on highline.
Tell a couple words about it, how it was, how did you feel?
Well, I was super bummed that I hurt my knee a week before it this year, but I was really happy that I was still able to get third with a really injured knee, so that was cool. Carlos Neto got first, and Tauri from Estonia got second, and it was a great competition, it's the best. It doesn't get any better than trick lining 40 or 50 feet high with no leash. If you fall, you just relax your body, fall into the net, or this year it was a bag jump, a big bag, just fall into it and relax. But it's hard. It's a lot harder than doing an airline, 5 feet above an airbag. It's difficult. The exposure really gets to you.
Yeah, that's for sure.
It's hard to. It's a lot higher. It's a lot more crazy stuff going on in your head, not just thinking about your trick, but also about the height.
Yeah. And I saw your pictures on the Facebook that you was in Las Vegas and you rigged the highline between high buildings in Las Vegas.
The Mandalay Bay Hotel let me, Andy Lewis, Hayden Nickel, and John Fate set up 4 highlines between the two tower rooftops of the Mandalay Bay Hotel, and the 4 lines were 150 feet long, 220 feet long, like 300 feet long, and 330 something feet long. I think that's what they were. And we got to walk all the legs. We got to do it for about 2 days of slacklining up there. It was really incredible. You'd be walking along the High Line. Las Vegas would be glowing underneath you. You could see the famous Las Vegas Strip right between your legs, basically. I mean, practically, it was pretty cool. Very cool to have permission to go up and do something like that. And you didn't even have to hike. Usually you have to hike to High Line. We got to take an elevator to the High Line.
That's awesome.
It was pretty cool.
That's so cool that you're able to do this so awesome project. All this thing is incredible for Russian people, especially. You rig the Highland in Las Vegas. You rig the space line in the middle of canyon. You do Red Bull Airlines. It's incredible, and it's
people can do it in Russia though. They just need to keep slacklining. I mean, I'm sure the talent is there, and you just need to get the rigging experience, and just need to go to St. Petersburg and ask them if you can set something off of the big chapel.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right. You just need to
get there and
try
and start. Yeah.
That's what we need to do. So, question about Highline. I saw your pictures on Facebook that you've been doing lots of Highline and deep Highline solo. So, how did you get to it? How did you set your mind to solo highlining?
I don't do much free solo highlining. I've done a little bit of it when I felt really, really confident on the line. The only thing I can say about that is don't rush into it. You know, there's no reason to. There's really no reason to do it.
That's right.
It's kind of stupid. But so is skydiving, so is whitewater kayaking. I mean, free solo highlining is just kind of more of like a quantum mechanics, physics problem where it's like either you live or you die. I don't know, but because you're so confident, you just know that the falling isn't even an option. But I would say a more practical answer is walk lots of high lines with ankle shackles, and just be so comfortable wearing a single ankle shackle that you just don't even think you actually need it.
Yeah. How many times did you practice with ankle shackles? Like single?
Oh gosh.
You mean ankle shackle is when you tie
single ankle or double or 2 ankles, either or. I mean, I've walked with leashes around my ankles probably 100 times before I tried to do it without anything at all, or something like that.
And did you fall on this kind of safety?
With an ankle shackle?
Yeah.
Not fall. Never fall on an ankle shackle. I mean, it's gonna work. It's gonna save your life, but it could really hurt your foot, ankle. It could slip. It's not nearly as secure as a figure 8 through your climbing harness, or a bowline through your climbing harness. But I've line caught a couple times while ankle shackling. I've walked and just kind of had to catch the line.
Yeah.
But not many times even with that. That's dangerous too. If you're walking with ankle shackles, you should be super solid. You should pick lines that you know you're not going to need to line catch. But sometimes it happens. But don't do it. It's stupid. It's cool.
Yeah, but
feels
cool.
Good.
But cool. So, what can you recommend for people who want to walk highlands but afraid of heights and falling? Because we got some slackliners in Russia who just started, and they see somebody walk highline and they're thinking, damn, that's cool, I want to do it, but I don't want to, how can I start?
My advice would be gain a lot of knowledge. Get as much knowledge as you can about the highline, about how it works, about how to set them up. There's a lot of good information online. There's some bad information online too. So Balance Community is a great source of information. There's lots of stuff out there. You just gotta search and be smart. If you learn about the system of the highline, and you learn why it's redundant and why it's safe and why everything is okay about highlining, especially when you're harnessed in with a leash to your climbing harness. You know, you should realize, if you think about it enough, that you couldn't kill yourself if you tried doing it. I mean, bad things could happen, but as far as looking down at the heights and being scared, I can't talk on that because I've never been scared of heights, really. I don't know, I just haven't. It doesn't make... Everybody's scared of heights. Everybody looks over a building and has fear of that height, but I mean, I don't know, you just gotta learn to overcome it. And I think a big part of that is learning to trust the system, learning to trust the highline system.
So how can you learn to trust the system? Just go and fall?
No. Well, yeah, when you see other people fall and you fall yourself, you learn that, yeah, it's okay to fall. It's okay to fall. You shouldn't, but you can. It's okay. I'm saying people should go out on the internet, read articles, read the posts on the Facebook pages like Slack chat, and learn and really be a student of the sport and find a mentor. Someone, that might be why it's so hard in Russia, because there's not as many experienced people as in, say, Colorado, USA, or California, USA, where highlining was pretty much invented. So, but find a mentor, be a student of the sport, learn about the gear, understand that you're not risking your life. You're just pursuing a sport that is really fun and really high up. Yeah.
That's right. Everything's right. What else except slacklining do you like? What kind of sports, what kind of activity, or something different?
Before slacklining, my main summer sport was whitewater kayaking. Before that, my main summer sport was longboarding, like downhill skateboarding. And before that, my summer sport was baseball when I was a kid. Baseball, yeah. I love.
Never expected to hear it.
Good for the hand-eye coordination and the throwing arm. And let me see. In the winter, I love to ski. Skiing's the best. I grew up in Colorado. I was born with a pair of skis on my feet. Skiing is so much fun. I enjoy school. I have a master's degree in physics, so I put a lot of time and energy into physics and science and stuff, and I definitely want to return to physics and science. I'm done with my slacklining career.
Nice.
Yeah, those are the things that I'm really passionate about. And skydiving. We're in Lodi, California right now.
Yeah, skydiving.
At the drop zone, one of the coolest drop zones in the world, Lodi Parachute Center. And we did a skydive yesterday. We're going to skydive today because it's beautiful out.
Yeah, we're going to skydive. We finish this interview, we go to the plane, and we'll jump out of it.
Yeah.
That's awesome, yeah.
Yep.
And a couple more questions. How do you see the future of slacklining, like 15 years ahead?
It's going to be in the X Games. It's going to be in the X Games, the trick lining at least. Long lining and high lining will maybe be as mainstream of sports as climbing, hopefully. Hopefully there will be as many people in the world high lining and long lining and slack lining as there are climbers. I think that'd be a pretty good benchmark or
I want to be there. I'm gonna do
goal for slacklining to try to achieve. I think if slacklining could get as popular as climbing in 15 years, I think we'd be in a really good place. And getting into the X Games, that would be cool. Heck, even the Olympics. The Olympics make so much sense. A slackline is the exact perfect combination of it's a balance beam made of trampoline-like material. And both of those sports, balance beam and trampoline, are in the Olympics, I believe. So,
yeah, trampoline is Olympics, so maybe highline, maybe we'll see slackline in Olympics too.
I hope so.
And what advice can you make for Russian slackliners?
Besides what I said earlier about getting into highlining, just learning, being students of the sports, I would say, I know the climate in Russia is less than ideal. If you've noticed, Brazil is just pumping out trick liners because of all the warm weather and the beaches. That's a little bit tougher for Russia. I think for Russians that really want to be serious about the sport, I think finding an indoor gym where you can set up slack lines year-round would be a really good way to get into trick lining. As far as long lining and high lining, learn to walk in shoes because it's cold out there, and
Not all the time.
I know. Build communities. One of the best parts of slacklining in this sport is building the community.
Yeah.
So you have a strong community, the slack life will thrive.
Right. So it was cool. It was the last question. Thank you, Mickey, for this interview. This is Mickey. Yeah. Thank you everybody for watching. So hopefully you learned something and you'll know more about slacklining right now. So we're about to go skydiving. And have a great day for you guys.
Slack on.
Slack on.
David,